So, Amlan, you're working on a paper on AI agents and governance. So, I want to understand a bit about that. So, for people who are not familiar with the concept of AI agents, what are AI agents? What kind of governance issues do they raise?
Sure. Yeah. Look, I'm really excited about this concept of agents. Agents are not new. We've had agents for several decades. It's like AI, right? It's been around from the 1950s. What's I think really unique.
Did we have AI agents earlier as well?
Yeah,
Oh, we've had,
people would like the people training these models back from the 1960s, 70s were calling them agents as well, right?
Okay.
They're doing something. Like think about what agents mean. Like as lawyers,
So, would you even call your chatbot agent?
I'll tell you why we can start calling them agents now, right? In specific sense, right? An agent, like in the legal concept, you have a legal audience as well, right? The principal-agent relationship, it's someone acting on behalf of another. It's a simple kind of. What's actually constraining agents from really being considered agents now is their ability to actually do that thing, which is perform that action on behalf of someone, right? So, in the context of a chatbot, if I can go on any of these chatbots and say, hey, make that financial transaction, right? So tell me tell me where I should go. I'm planning a trip to Turkey. What's the 3-day agenda? We do all of this right now, right? Now they're like, here's what you should do. I found a great flight on ClearTrip. Now what a true agent will do is have the tools to be able to go have access to your UPI app, Google Pay app, and execute that transaction and then email you because it has access to your Gmail, the ticket, right? Yeah. Which is what the next evolution of chatbots are now. So I think of it like to describe it, like you asked me to define, I wouldn't define it, but I'll describe it in like 4 ways, right? They have one, increasing capabilities that are coming from these large language models and chatbots, right? Reasoning, planning, some people call it thinking. I have some objections to that, right? But the ability to reason, plan, analyze, summarize. So all of these capabilities map to autonomy, increasing autonomy. They're able to do these things autonomously rather than me dictate each thing, right? They're able to, if I say plan a 5-day itinerary, they're able to look at my calendar, see what my free dates are, right? And, autonomously act on these. 3 is access to data, right? Increasingly these agents, they're not API calls, right? So for people like a technical audience, like an API call will be just be able to access this particular set of data points from this particular service. This goes much beyond that. They are able to, let's say at the OS level, access every app on your phone, right? So they're able, like if Siri were an agent, they would have access to everything on your iPhone, so they can see your calendar, they can see your Gmail, they can see your past bookings, they can understand your preferences. So it's really about having systems access to have contextual understanding, and then finally is to actually act and influence the environment, right? And currently they're all mostly in the digital realm, but can they actually take actions on the World Wide Web, within your browser, within your email service provider? But increasingly in the future, and I don't think too far in the future, in the next 5 to 10 years, actually influence the physical environment. So really you're thinking about integrating agents with robots, right? So you give them a task and they're able to perform these actions and influence and interact with the physical environment. So, these are 4 characteristics that I think are very unique to agents, and they present obviously very unique, novel governance challenges.
Yeah. Do you think the current law is equipped to deal with these? I can see the parallels. I mean, basically, if you're looking at the agency law, fine, it does apply here. What about instances where the agent takes a decision on behalf of you autonomously and errs there? What happens then? The liability falls on the person who has authorized you to do it?
Great example, right? And you've identified 2 of those things, which, by the way, people need to wrap their head around that this will happen, right? It's called basically goal-directedness, like deciding the objective itself is something that the agent decides, right? There's one thing to say, hey, help plan my birthday. It's another thing for the agent to know that your birthday is, on November 5th, and to decide that for your birthday, you definitely want to restock, your, food and beverages, order these snacks, take these decisions autonomously. And obviously somewhere at the back end, you have authorized them to do that, right? Like at a very high level, you're like, if you think there's a decision to be made that's in my interest at a high level, make that decision. So you've authorized at a very high level. But that's very different from you going onto a chatbot and saying, hey, order party supplies for my birthday party. And this, by the way, technically, they have these capabilities. Through my research, I've found out it's not a technical constraint. These agents are able to create their own objectives, right? Define their own objective functions and perform these actions, provided they have access to the right tools, right? So the question or situation you've described is very likely to happen in the next few years. You're talking about who's liable. I feel like that's an important question, but there's so many steps even preceding that, right? What systems do they have access to, right? Are they able to access all of your data in perpetuity, infinitely, right? Are you able to do that? What are the kind of guardrails and constraints you want to add to that? Important privacy, security, governance question. I think cybersecurity and privacy will be huge in the context of AI. Two is this question of value alignment, right? Which is fundamental to AI governance, right? Which is the values of the AI and my values aligned, right? If do they want if they're performing like a shopping transaction, are they able to make an illegal transaction, right? Are they able to buy drugs or buy guns, right? These might even be my personal preferences, but the agent's values need to be aligned with my human values, with societal values, with larger kind of societal concerns. Are you impacting someone else? How so this value alignment question becomes really important, right, in the AI context. So and then third, obviously, this liability question: who's responsible? So I think very novel questions. But the way I think about it is there are risks that are currently evident from generative AI technologies itself. A lot of these will manifest in agents and agentic AI. Some of these will be exacerbated by AI, by agentic AI, and then there will be some novel risks that we just have not even considered. And at least I'm trying to research this, and this paper should be out in the next few weeks.